So, more news came out about Vince McMahon, and it is not good. It is not good news. I mean, you thought it was worse before. This just made it even worse than it was. I mean, I'm not saying that the allegations that Janelle Grant didn't put against him are not bad. They are. I mean, honestly, the way it's described in that document and, the way people have read that document off or summarized it and, reading off the main things that came out of it, you can't say that wasn't disgusting in its own right, but this goes on top of it. It's making it even more disgusting because according to the reports, you got the feds now fully investigating Vince McMahon. I mean, they basically searched his premise about a year or two ago, and now because of this, they're going full on in, investigating Vince. They are going full on in, figuring out what he did, that could potentially put him behind bars, potentially. And, you can thank this lawsuit for making that happen, I assume. But the other thing, too, is the report that, the reports that came out that said he did these NDAs. It was reported that he had people sign, he had these women, sign NDAs like Janelle Grant. He had to sign an NDA until he stopped paying her. Apparently, he signed these NDAs, without WWE knowing. He signed them with his own John Hancock, if you will, and on behalf of WWE without WWE's acknowledgement. Yeah. He did it, without their acknowledgement, apparently. And that's huge. That's huge because look, even if you own a company like WWE, you do realize that when you appoint a board of directors, to kind of have the final say, even against you, even if you own a majority of the voting power, if you're hiring a board of directors to have the final say in a lot of things, and you do this behind their back, without acknowledging to them, hey, I did this, that doesn't paint you in a good light. As well as it doesn't paint the people you sold the company to in a good light, by extension. It doesn't paint Ari Emanuel in a good light. It doesn't paint Endeavor, and by extension the TKO Group Holdings, in a good light because of what you did. It doesn't do any of that. And this is something that, something that Vince obviously tried to keep hidden. Just like he tried to keep hidden the fact that he used company finances, $19 billion worth, of finances to pay off these women, through that signed these NDAs to keep quiet. And that's $19 million of the company's money that he didn't report that he was using. In doing so. It wasn't found out until like recently that he did that. And again, you top that, top that in addition to what's been he's been accused about in the past week or so, and then you add this that just got brought to the table. It's like Vince McMahon could not have asked for a worser way to start the new year than this. He couldn't have. I mean, if you would have told him when he went to bed on New Year's Eve after celebrating the beginning of the new year, if you would have told him at the end of 2023, hey, you're going to start 2024 with potentially without a job, and potentially on the run, and potentially facing life in prison. Well, I wouldn't say life in prison, but jail time. If you would have told him that at the end of 2023, he wouldn't have believed you. He wouldn't have. He would have laughed it off like, that's not going to happen to me. And yet, here we are. It just, if you're Vince McMahon, you look at this and you're like, damn, I did not think this was going to happen. I did not think this was going to happen. I mean, because think about this. He gets put into the situation in 2022, has to resign, then power plays his way back into power, and everything. And he does all this, including that infamous thing he said after he went back into Gorilla after appearing on SmackDown, the day and week he was first accused of this in 2022, where it was reported that he said F him, fuck him, if you will, basically in response to the allegations, and yet here we are. I wonder what Vince is thinking now. Probably thinking back to what he said that night. I'm wondering if somebody reminded him of that, saying, "Hey, remember when you said fuck him, Vince? Yeah, that might have been not the best idea because look what's going on now." And then on top of that, you have John Laurinaitis, who was named in the lawsuit, coming out and saying he's not at fault. He's a victim. But yet, if he's not at fault, then why is his name always being brought up in these things? There's a connection there. There is a definite connection there. It's like you're saying you are being wronged, Laurinaitis, and yet your name is always being brought up in this lawsuit, and all the other female talent and employees in Titan Tower have not been very kind about what they say about you. That old saying of where there's smoke, there's fire? Well, basically, in your case and in Vince's case, where there's a lot of smoke, there's a damn inferno burning. So, yeah, I don't know where he gets off saying that he's innocent. And then, also on top of all of this, you have people like former WWE talent Paul London, among others, coming out and saying that the late Ashley Massano, was told by Vince to keep quiet about being drugged and RAPE'd, by Kuwait soldiers in Kuwait. And apparently he knew about that and he wanted to keep quiet about it instead of coming out and saying it and saying something about it. It's like if Vince didn't. I don't even know the right words to say here, but it's like if Vince thought he was invincible, before, if he thought he was bulletproof before, reality in the past month or so has just come crashing down on him and made him realize, oh, maybe I'm not that invincible as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not that bulletproof. Because look what's going on. Look what's happening. I mean, like I said earlier, I guarantee you Vince didn't think waking up, at the start of 2024, that before the first month of this year was out, he'd be out of a job. He'd be on the run. He'd be trying to clear his name. Good luck with that. Now the question is it going to go to court? Well, a lot of people have said that a lot of people have said, I think even Andrew Baydella has said this, that Ari Emanuel, who's the owner of WWE now, does not want this going to court. And Andrew Baydella, who you can find on Tuesday Night Titans with JD, of Off the Script, when they do a live stream here on YouTube, he said he has heard from people in the business districts, if you will, that he's connected to, because he's a business guy himself, that Ari Emanuel is pissed. Ari Emanuel was furious when this news came out, and you can't blame him. You can't blame Ari Emanuel for being furious. You can't. But if you think he was furious then, I guarantee you, people that have connections to Ari are telling people like Andrew Baydella right now that Ari Emanuel is fuming furious. Like he is like near boiling Mount St. Helens furious with now these reports coming out. It's like, and here's the thing too. People have said Ari Emanuel should have known what he was getting in bed with. Should have known what he was associating himself with, at the very beginning of this partnership. And you know what? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Whatever the case may be, if this does go to court, which he's trying to prevent, but more than likely now with the feds involved, more so than they were before, it's definitely heading that way. I guarantee you, if Ari Emanuel gets called to the courts, to be a witness in this case, or to, basically tell the court, what he knows, I guarantee you, if he ends up on that witness stand, if this all happens, whoever is the defendant, for Janelle Grant and in the defendant as well as in this whole situation, with McMahon, using company money as hush money without letting the company know and all that, I guarantee you the first thing they're going to ask him is, did you know about Vince's doings? Did you know what you were getting yourself into with this man? And he's going to have to tell the truth. And if he tells them, yes, I did, that's not a good look for him. But if he tells them in a way to where it's like, yes, I did know, but that's why I wanted to purchase the company, so I could try to get him out before any of this came, heading our way. He can even bring out that they put in the SEC filings after they first officially purchased the company and owned it, lock, stock, and barrel, if you will. He could say that if you look up, he could probably even mention that if you look up the SEC filings, we even labeled Vince as a liability. So he's going to have to come up with some kind of, believable reasoning, an answer if he ends up in that kind of a situation. But yeah, there's no doubt that right now, if he was pissed off before, like Andrew Baydella said, then there's no doubt he is Mount St. Helens furious with the addition of this news. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But the question is now, what's going to happen with Vince when it's all, said and done? Well, I said this before, I'll say it again. I think Vince is going to go for, because if they do a settlement, Vince is going to go from being a billionaire to a millionaire, maybe to a thousandaire. But the way this is looking right now, he might be lucky to have a few $100 or a few thousand left in his account after this is all said and done. But yeah, this is not a good start to the new year for Vince. And this new news that just came out, doesn't help anything. It really doesn't. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on this a new development in the Vince McMahon situation. Comment below, live chat during the premiere, like the video. And until then, talk to y'all later.